Hey guys, welcome to Realization Hub. My name is Michelle Corazao-Dinu, and I'm an intuitive counselor, energy healer, and channeler who loves to bridge the gap between the unseen world of spirit, consciousness, energy, and intuition so that it can apply to your everyday human experience. Today's video is an energy update for December 2023. I'll be going over any energetic themes and any kind of wisdom that wants to come through for you. So if you enjoy these videos, please like the video and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out a lot. Before we get started, I want to say one thing. In the past, I used to channel these videos with my eyes closed, transcribe them, then try to film them, then do a lot of editing. And I just don't have a lot of time for that anymore. So I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna just channel the video with my eyes closed. I'm gonna do as much editing that might be needed, might not be needed, and then I'm just gonna post it for you guys. So my eyes will be closed in this video. I'll be channeling the information as I usually do. It's just gonna look a little bit different. Let me know what you think. So I hope you enjoy the video. Let's go ahead and get started. A lot of people in the collective are finalizing some very big agreements. It's kind of like getting a big contract that's the size of like, I don't know, some kind of like pamphlet, you know, like a sizable contract here for your next phase of life. And there's been a lot of updating in the last part of the year, a lot of relationship updating, a lot of spiritual agreement updating going on with families, important relationships that may be coming with you, key relationships that you may be leaving behind, and key relationships that you have yet to meet. So we've gone into a deep editing process with our relationships and how we are going to show up in the relationships. And in that final edit, there's a big kind of finality, a big stamp of approval. You know, we're done with this kind of chapter of our experience here on Earth. Really completing it, not just for this year, but for a huge cycle in our lives. A huge cycle that for some of you started over 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago. How that shows up for you will be very unique to you and your energy. But some of the things that kind of I'm seeing about people going through this doneness is some people are going to change their location. Some people are going to move to a new location. You are going to either change some kind of foundational situation in your life. So let's just work with that location type experience. Some of you may have already done this where you've moved out of a household into a new household, where you've changed roommates, you've broken up in a relationship with a romantic partner, you've moved out, or they've moved out, or you've gotten a new roommate, or you moved out of your family, or you moved in to a new place. But this change of location is a really common theme coming up for many people who are closing out this chapter. It's time for them to relocate to the next place they need to be, okay? And it could be a relocation within the same city. It could be a relocation within the same region. It could be a relocation to a completely different place. Again, this is entirely up to the individual and what is necessary for their new path. Now, one of the reasons why we've been closing things out in a large cycle is because we're about to go into unknown territory on the planet. And in that unknown territory, we have to jump into an experience that we may have never navigated before in our lives. We might be going into territory that's new to us, territory that we're taking it to a new level. So it might be something completely new that you've never done before, never done in this lifetime, maybe not even have done in your other lifetimes. It could be completely new. Okay, new territory, unknown territory for you. Okay, or for those of you that are, some of you have a type of life purpose where you're taking something that you've done for lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes, and you are really bringing it to a new level, really bringing it to a new type of fruition, really maturing it, really refining it, really alchemizing it, really like taking it to its next level in your ability to express that in the world, the life purpose. Okay, and this is about life purpose. This is about a change of life purpose or an update in life purpose. Our life purpose is very changeable. It can express itself in so many different ways. You can go through lifetimes where you're just focusing on one stage of your life purpose, one stage of development in your life purpose. You can go through a lifetime where you're experiencing the expression of your life purpose after it reaches states of fruition. Okay. You can go through a stage of your life purpose where you get wildly creative with your life purpose. You take it to completely new places, completely new levels. Okay. We can do that. We can experience a cycle of our life purpose where we go through many stages in one lifetime. Okay. And then we can go through lifetimes where we're focusing on certain stages of our life purpose. Our life purpose is kind of within your own essence. Okay. It's like imprinted in you. It's like your own truth. It's like your something inside of you that gets expressed. It's not something outside of you that you need to find. Okay, your life purpose is not something out there that you need to discover or find. It's within you. It's constantly flowing through you. Actually, it's actually a lie or a game that people play when they feel disconnected from their life purpose, or they feel lost from their life purpose, or they try to find their life purpose. Your life purpose is here. It's in the present moment, constantly. It's right here. All you have to do is really, quite simply, be in the present moment. It's not this big thing you have to find out there. It comes through you, okay, in the present moment. You just have to be present in order to allow it to move through you, because it can move through you in so many different ways. The point is that December, okay, on a collective level, we are ending kind of like a stage of purpose on the planet, a stage of life purpose on the planet, not just for the planet, but for individuals on the planet. And so it's a very individual experience, and it's also a very collective experience. Okay, we're doing this as a whole, and we're also doing it individually. So the planet is ending a certain stage of life purpose. Okay, we're closing the chapter, we're editing it out, we're cleaning up our spiritual agreements. Okay, we're looking at the fine print, and then we're stamping it. We're marking it as done. We have completed this type of purpose on the planet. Okay, and a type of purpose in your own life, and the role you played in your own life, the way that life purpose expressed through you, the stage that you were in with your life purpose, and how that expressed through you and in your life. You're done. You're wrapping that up. And even on a global scale, you as a being and the type of role that you played in the stage of the planet and the purpose that the planet was in. Okay, and the way you related to that purpose on the planet. That is coming to an end. And just like every ending, there's a new beginning. Okay? So it's not that we end our life purpose, that we're losing it forever, that it's gone and there's this death. I mean, there is always a rebirth. when there's an ending. Always. Every ending is disguised as a new beginning, so they say. In December, the energies will be still about closing some things out. Okay? We're not quite going to see that new shift in life purpose, but with that said, some of you have been tapping into it. As much as we can be excited on a soul level for what's next and so ready to close out this old chapter on the planet, your soul has been giving you little whiffs, little downloads, little synchronicities, little hints, and at the same time still not giving you the full picture, not giving you the full download, not giving you all the information, so that you can still focus on what's important right now, which is still this entire year for the most part, wrapping up a very, very old cycle. And for some of you, this cycle has been anywhere from 10 to 20 years long. But for some of you, this cycle even goes back, beyond this lifetime into some of the first lifetimes in which you came to the planet. It's a huge, I don't think people understand this. This is a huge cycle coming to an end, a huge one. Okay, so we're about to go into new territory. You're about to go into new territory, and your purpose here, why you're here, what's next for you, your next experiences, they're going to be updated. They're going to be refreshed. They're going to be new in some way. You're going to either change it, and experience that life purpose in a completely new way, okay, in a completely new stage of evolution. Or, like I said before, some of you are taking what you've been doing that you're still going to do, but you're just going to really take it to a new level, take it to a new level, a new expression. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to say about December is the finality of things. There's a finality of things. There's a doneness. There's a completion, and there's a review. There's like a final review going on. So this is something that I find very interesting that I do want to speak to, because some of you, it can be a little bit trippy to go through an energetic review. Here's the thing. Traditionally, as a being, when you come into a life, okay, you come into a life, you have a life purpose, and when you're complete with that life, you die. You leave that body behind and you go into another life. Okay, and that's me really simplifying it. Okay, all right, and so usually when you're done with a certain stage of life purpose, sometimes, well, in the past at least, it's been easier to leave the body and start a new life when you're ready for the next life purpose. Okay. Otherwise, it would be like suddenly reinventing yourself, and let's say you're a doctor in one lifetime as a healer, and now suddenly you want to be a shamanic healer. You can do that, but it can get a little bit complex, when you start to shift the life purpose into a new direction. You have to deal with all the old stuff in order to get into the new stuff. Okay. And it's not impossible. And there's certainly people that have had lifetimes like this where you completely change your career, you completely change your life purpose, or your life changes, in a new way, and you go through that change. So it's not that it's impossible. It's not that you can't do that. People have done that before. It's just that it's pretty common, I guess you could say, for most people, that when they're, doing a bigger change in their life purpose, they usually complete their life and move on to the next one. And it's kind of like hitting a reset button. I'm going to reset, start fresh, so I can take this life purpose in a new direction and just have a new identity around it. Have a new identity around it so that I can take this life purpose to a new level. All right. That's the thing about changing life purpose, is that oftentimes when you're allowing your life purpose to express itself differently through you, oftentimes your identity changes with that. It has to, because the old identity is keeping your life purpose expressing through you in a certain way. And so in order to allow that life purpose to free up and change and express itself in a new way, oftentimes we have to let an old identity die and a new identity rebirth. Okay, and so that's what I'm talking about, is sometimes that can be very literal for people. Like in other lifetimes, when it was time to change your identity, it would be easier to just die and complete that lifetime and come into a new lifetime and be a totally different identity. It's like in one lifetime you're a man who's working in a coal mine, and then in the next lifetime you're a female who's kind of a politician or something. A completely different identity, right? It would be very odd, to change that much in one lifetime. It's easier sometimes to push the reset button and start a new life and have a completely different identity, right? That's not happening. For some people it is, okay? For some people on the planet, they're hitting the reset button. They're like, you know what? It's going to be much easier to just start in a new life and, take this to the next level as a new person, new body, younger body, things like that. But when you're going through an evolution, let's say you're going from awakening all the way to your enlightenment or beyond your enlightenment, beyond your realization, however you like to define that. It's an evolution. Once you awaken, you can't go back. You start to evolve in this direction, right? And for those of you who have gone through awakening and beyond that, you are used to changing your identity. You're used to losing your identities, detaching from them, letting them evolve, letting them change. You probably feel like you've been 1,000 people in this lifetime, since you were a child until who you are now. And that can be a very common experience for an awakened person or an enlightened person, to stay alive, stay in the same body, but change your identity. Okay? And we can do that a lot in very small ways. And we can do that a lot in very gradual ways to where it feels kind of natural. Okay? But when we change an identity in a big way, it's interesting because you will experience a type of death experience within you around that identity. And with that comes a life review involving that identity. And seeing that we're ending a very big chapter on the planet, a very big, I'd say a book, it's like we're ending a book on the planet. It's a big, thick book, and we're closing the chapter and we're stamping it and we're done with it. That's a big identity. It's a big identity. So, December is where a lot of people are going to be feeling that energetic review. That energetic review of your lifetime, the past experiences you've had with this particular identity that is kind of, I would say, composting. It's already been dying this whole year. It's not like everyone's going to, suddenly be like, oh, my identity's dying. It's been dying. Like this past year, people have been experiencing the last expressions of this identity as it kind of composts. It's like deteriorating slowly, deteriorating. So for a lot of you, you've experienced changes in your identity. You're like, a year ago, I was not the same person. You can look at like 6 months ago, I was not the same person. And look at me now, I'm expressing this whole new side of me that I wasn't even expressing a year ago. Like, look how much that's changed. If you've had experiences like that, you're one of those people that is changing your identity in a big way. And sometimes we go through transitional identities to take us to where we really need to go with our identity. Like, let's say you are working in technology and you're meant to be like a public leader of some kind. Okay, and you're used to sitting at home on your computer just doing techie work, and you're meant to be a public leader of some kind. Well, you might have kind of an interesting experience of identity hopping, you know, of getting from that old identity that sits in the home to hopping into different identities that allow you to go out into the world, allow you to express yourself, allow yourself to be seen, allow yourself to be engaging with more people, allowing yourself to find situations, get experience around, you know, being a leader, being confident, and then poof, you know, starting sometime next year, really hopping into that actual identity that was calling you, you know. And so some people have been experiencing the identity hopping, you know, this past year, you know, and that's because you're going through a big change in identity. And sometimes it's easier to kind of transition and hop into different identities that kind of take you there gradually over time, so it's not such a shock to you and your life and other people. Some people can hop to the different identity. It's probably a little bit more of a shock or a dramatic change of identity when that happens. Okay. Some of you experienced it differently. You know, some of you have experienced it less as identity hopping and more as some of you are showing me more of like how like shedding of old skin. Like you're shedding layers of old skin and then you're rising into your identity. Shedding old layers of skin and rising into your new identity even more. Shedding more old layers of skin and it's like more of a rising experience or becoming experience, you know, where you're going through cycles or phases of just shedding and you're rising into the identity even more. Cycles of shedding, rising into the identity even more. So, as you can see, there are different ways people experience the closing out of this chapter and the new identity that's coming in for this new time on the planet, this new book we're writing on the planet, you know, this new experience in your life where you're taking your identity and your life purpose to its next level of expression, okay, its next phase of evolution. So there is going to be a review-like experience in December. And it's natural in the collective already in December to review the year. It's December, it's the last year. We're, you know, coming with our family. We're about to have the New Year celebration in January for the calendar year. And so it is very common already in mass consciousness to have this kind of review-like experience. Reviewing what happened this year, reviewing what they went through, talking about what they want for next year, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But this is kind of like a double whammy. It's not just your typical review of the year. It's a big energetic review happening for this entire cycle, which I've already stated being about 10 to 20 years long, for some of you even longer. Okay. And it's going to be a collective review. Okay, and it's also going to be a personal review. And so a lot of final reviews, minor edits happening in your life, but mostly the moment where we all kind of stamp this chapter in our lives or this book of our lives with kind of a stamp of we're done. We're done with that. For some of you in December, this experience of revising, reviewing, and finalizing this chapter in your lives, it's you might be tying it in a bow. You know, you might be it might be like you're making it, wanting it to look beautiful, wanting it to end well. You know, and some of you will get that experience. Some of you look like you're going to end this experience on a positive note. Some of you might be still looking at kind of what's fallen away in your life, and it might look like a mess still, okay? And it just might be one of those moments where you walk away from the mess. And you kind of look at it and you say, this is not my mess to clean up. It's just not my mess to clean up. This is a mess. I don't like the way it ended. It's a mess. I tried the best I could, but I can't spend more of my energy trying to clean up this mess. You know, it's kind of like if you lived in a city and it got bombed and the whole town is a mess, and you're trying to rebuild your life in a mess. You know, at some point you say, you know what, it's just easier to leave the town. It's just easier to leave the town and rebuild my life from a place that's just clean, you know, ready to go, ready for me to rebuild, you know. And so this is not like literal example. It's more of a metaphorical example of there just might be things that you really wanted to work out in your life, you know, certain relationships, certain career ideas, certain, you know, it could be different structures in your life, different systems in your life, different things that used to hold you, you know, in your life in some way. They may have fallen apart. And it might not be this feeling of, yay, everything's, you know, complete and over and we're done and it's a happy experience. It might be like, I'm done. You know, I'm done trying to make this work. I'm done trying to make this look pretty. I'm done trying to make this be like, I'm done trying to clean up this mess. Just know that it's okay to leave the mess behind. You know, that can be a common trap for people where when they go through an ending, they feel like it has to end in a good way before they walk away. They feel like it has to be clean, and they feel like it has to be perfect, and they feel like it has to be a good ending or a graceful ending or a positive ending for them to be able to fully walk away from it. And although some people will have that experience, that's because as a being, they need that experience in order to walk away. Like they really need that experience for their own personal evolution. Okay. And for some people, they really need that experience of, you know, I'm not doing this anymore. So whatever experience you're in, somewhere in between that experience, you know, it's serving you. And just recognize some people get to have the ending where, you know, it's all tied in a bow and it's pretty. Okay, but sometimes that's not realistic, and that's kind of the wisdom coming through about this month is sometimes it's not realistic to expect everything to end well, everything to be perfect when you end it. You know, sometimes it's not realistic to feel like you get a reward at the ending of something. You know, some people, it's like graduating high school, you know. At the end of graduating high school, you get this reward of a ceremony where you get your diploma, your high school diploma, everyone celebrates you and they wish you well off onto your new adventure. Ideally, that's how it would be when we end these like big cycles in our life. Everyone would come together and say, we're all complete with this. Let's celebrate our graduation. Let's all give each other a reward for what we've been through together. And let's all move on to the next chapter of our lives, you know, and do this in a way that's very positive. That's not how it always happens for people. And that can keep you stuck trying to end the ending and keep trying to end the ending and keep trying to clean up the ending and keep trying to make the ending look good and keep trying to get your reward for all you went through. Sometimes there's a grieving that can happen, or a void-like experience that can happen, or even just an uncomfortable experience of leaving a mess behind. You know, leaving a disaster behind, like leaving the destruction behind, and just not getting that validation, not getting the celebration, not getting the reward, not getting the positive ending. So I just want to shout out to those people that feel like they're still kind of in a mess, you know, and just recognize that, you know, sometimes if you're still in a mess at this point, you know, in this kind of experience where we're all closing out this long chapter, if you're still in a mess, the question might be, is this my mess to clean up? You know, because if it's not your mess to clean up, then all you have to do is walk away from it. You know, easier said than done for some people, but that's kind of a message coming through, to be aware of like what an ending might look like. So I just speaking out to different types of people that might be listening to this. You know, some of you are going to have that beautiful experience of closing something out very gracefully in a very positive way. You feel rewarded for that experience that you went through. It's nice and kind of optimistic kind of ending. Some of you might be feeling like you're walking away from a mess, and that's okay too. Just trust that your energy is wrapping things up. There's a final review. And no matter what it looks like, you can, you know, really trust that you are ready for your next phase. Ready or not, here it comes, you know, kind of thing. All right, that's the last thing I wanted to say about this energy update. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.